Welcome to the Studio-littleBold podcast, where vision meets execution, creativity finds clarity, and mentorship unlocks potential. I'm your host, Abigael Osidiana, and this is the space for designers, dreamers, and change makers looking to build bold ideas and shape the future of interior design. Hello and welcome to this episode. For this particular episode, we have an exciting guest who has a tremendously exciting journey, and I can't wait to introduce her to you. Karara, karibu sana. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Please introduce yourself, and then we're going to pick it up from there.
So my name is Karara. I am a multi-skilled professional in the construction world. I am blending structural engineering and interior design as well as project management.
Mm-hmm. Which university did you attend?
I went to the Technical University of Kenya to do my degree in civil engineering, and before that I was in Kenya Technical Trainers College to do my diploma. So that course took me 7 years to complete, and yet I decided to change to interior design after that.
Why did it take 7 years? Because of the diploma and
yes,
then...
3 years diploma and 4 years degree. So a total of 7 years.
Wow. And then you decided to change?
Yes.
Why? Why did you decide to change?
I just love how spaces make people feel, and I wanted to be able to do that. But with engineering, it's more of reinforcement, structural bars. You really can't see the beauty of it until the house is complete. So yeah, I decided to move into something that makes me more happier and something that's more colorful.
So for like the interior design, did you go to school for it?
Not yet. I have been trained by an interior designer for an year. I worked under an interior designer for an year before making that shift. Yes.
So tell us about the transition. So you finished engineering, you've done 7 years.
Yes.
Now you're shifting to interior design. Tell us about that transition.
That transition wasn't particularly easy because now I had to handle clients' emotions. I had to be more empathetic. Unlike the structural part of the building, you rarely interact with the clients. You're just with your computer, you're doing your calculations. So my academic background really didn't help me much. I had to now learn how to work with people more, interact with the teams, and be more empathetic when I went to site.
So now tell me about this first year working under an interior designer. How was it? What kind of tasks were you given? How was the experience?
It was actually very tricky because I was bombarded with a lot of tasks. And at that particular point when they were hiring, they were looking for a CAD technician. I don't think she understood the difference between a CAD technician and what an interior designer does. So when I sent my CV and I got hired, then they assigned me a task. I was like, no, this is not what I signed up for. So I had 48 hours to learn how to do the renders, the 3D renders, and it came out very badly actually. But luckily for me, the client was very patient and he gave me more time, so I learned how to do the renders within 1 week. And then after that, it was a stepping stone. I just kept on learning and learning. It never ended.
So what were you expecting when you're applying now to an interior design firm as an engineer?
As a CAD technician, I thought they needed the usual construction drawings. I have never interacted with an interior designer before that. So I really didn't understand what sort of drawings they needed. Yeah, so it was new, it was scary.
So let me ask there. So what was different in what you expected in terms of CAD?
Well, CAD designs are more of, we still design the basics of the house, the walls, the floors, the ceilings, but it doesn't include the finishes. So now I had to learn about color coordination, different types of floor finishes, and the 3D drawings. We don't do 3D drawings, we only do 2D drawings. And and the calculations, which we don't show the client. So this was completely new, different. But at that point I needed the money, so yes, what needed to be learned, and I did it.
So at that time now you're feeling scared. You're feeling like, oh my God.
Scared, confused, you name it, everything. And there were so many emotions going through my head at that time. But I just thought, like, you know what? I need the money. I'm going to learn it. And this is the first project. There wasn't even actually any training. It was me and YouTube and other tutorials that I found online. So, yeah.
So the 48 hours that they're giving you, have they told you, Karara, you have 48 hours, or is it that you're supposed to present to the client in 48 hours, so you have no choice?
They gave me the client's contacts. Like, this is a house. It was in Kikuyu. This is the house. The client needs this. It's a double volume living room. I don't know any of those terms. So I went to the site, took measurements. At least I knew how to take measurements. Took the measurements, went and drew what I could. Came out so poorly. I felt bad for that client till date.
Wait, you submitted it?
Yes.
Why?
Because you have deadlines and deliverables.
So there was no hierarchy or what do I say? There's no check-off system. You know, the way there's a maker, there's a checker, you know.
There was none of that in that farm. So actually after that, since as a structural engineer, I was working for like a very big corporation and there was a system in which the drawings used to pass through.
Yeah.
So that's when I told the interior designer, actually, we can't work this
Like
way.
this.
Let's try this other method. And then moving forward, we adapted it and things were much better. Not the best of conditions, but much better.
So how long did you stay now at that particular farm? It's full 1 year, or are you still like with, you know, some relationship with them?
No. Almost close to 1 year. But during that time, there was so much happening in that farm. I decided to resign, just like I had said in my Instagram. There were so many cases of clients not getting their work delivered, having paid deposits, and now they were coming back to us since they interacted with us who were on the ground. Yes. And you know, you can't answer about finances, yet you're just an employee of the company. So I didn't want to tarnish my reputation being a field that I've not studied in. I didn't want to tarnish my name and also risk losing my license as an engineer at the same time.
Wow. But that wouldn't really affect, like, because you're doing interior design and your license, you're not practicing engineering, or...
But it's still my name that's going to be out there. If I'm like damaging a client who could even trust me to give me like a structural engineering job I ever decided to go back.
Okay, I hear you. So it's like the bigger picture rather than the direct repercussions.
Yes.
Wow. So now you've left this particular farm. You've worked for almost a year. What do you do next?
What I do next after resigning is I just go home, no plans whatsoever. And I start from scratch because now I am so tired of employment. This was not my first employer. I have been employed by about 4 farms at this point, 8 years in the industry, and I'm done with employment, but what am I going to do next? So I stay in the house for about 2 months trying to figure it out, and I realized that I actually really enjoyed my time as an interior designer more than I did when I was a structural engineer. So I start learning what interior designers actually do, from reading books to taking accreditation courses to online research, all that, so that now I can be credible. I may be better. I get clients from referrals, especially the 3D visualization ones. I got really good at it. And that's where I start from. I get my computer, start drawing, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
So the same 3Ds that were horrible day one, 48 hours in, is what you're currently thriving at.
Yes, that is what has made me stay in the industry for the 3rd year now, and it's made me travel so much, and I've been continuing to perfect it. It's an endless learning journey, and I really like it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, or maybe touch on a bit on the 3D. So in interior design, you're saying you're kind of specializing in the 3D.
Yes.
Is there anything else, or now you've niched out on that?
Now I'm blending it in with now my academic background in structural engineering. I've really been able to help a lot of clients in structurally remodeling their homes, still maintaining the safety on all that. So
which is important, because if you don't know, interior designers, or rather, let me say it again, interior architects have input on how your structure should be, not from the math side of it for the lack of, of good English.
Yes,
but
sure.
more or less, okay, I may want this wall demolished. I may want something added. And I can't just decide off the hook that that's what I want to do. I also need to consult with an structural engineer on, okay, is whatever I'm asking for feasible? So now Karara here is now doing both. She doesn't need to consult another structural or rather a structural engineer.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's because so long as the drawings are provided by the client, I'm able to go through them. I'm able to check if the structural integrity is safe. And then from there, we can be able to demolish some walls. We can be able to move something, add something without affecting the safety of the structure.
So just out of topic. So for you, your fees, are they one like interior designer, or are you charging are you charging engineer fee and then interior designer fee?
Well, it depends on the type of project. So if a client needs structural remodeling, it depends on how big or how detailed it is. But normally it comes in the interior design package.
Oh, so you fit it in somewhere.
Yes.
Okay, that's nice. So at least you've killed two birds with one stone.
Yes, lucky for my clients. Yeah.
Lucky for them. Okay. So you mentioned something I wrote down when you were talking about accreditation. Where give our viewers options of where else they can get accreditation for people who maybe were trying to transition from other careers into interior design.
Will I be the best person to...
No, whatever you came across. Guys, do your own research, do your own background check.
Yes, please.
Please. We are just giving options of what you can check and find. Sawa? Don't hold us against it.
I hope I get them right. There is Kelly Hopper. You can read her book. I have been following a lot of Australian interior designers. There is the Little Design Corner. You can check her out for all the SketchUp tutorials. And there is Megan.
Yeah, because those ones are very heavy also on Instagram. So these are very accessible sources. In fact, the Little Design Corner has even how to do like contracts and stuff.
Yes, all that. And there is Megan, who is an interior mentor. You can check her out as well. And there are more out there. I'm sure you'll find them.
Just mention Megan who?
She's called, I don't remember, but I think Megan, the interior designer or something, on her Instagram.
Look for that.
Yes, please. If I remember more names, I'll definitely list it down on my Instagram as well.
Yeah. And also just to put a caveat, Karara has her own Instagram page and a podcast where she speaks heavily on construction. So you can also follow her and follow her journey, look at the topics that she's discussing with her community, join her community. You know, there's always enough information to share. And there's always something you can learn from someone else, you know. So we are not holding here and we're not gatekeeping. Follow Karara.
We're done gatekeeping information. So for all your needs on construction, yes, I'm your go-to person.
So hers is a very unique take because she also has the background in construction, structural engineering, which is very wholesome. Cool. So let me ask for now, what exactly, other than saying that, okay, you liked like the beauty in interior design, what else made you draw? Because 7 years is a huge shift. 7 years,
it is.
It can't just be like, oh, you know.
To be honest, it's also much easier as compared to structural engineering. The number of hours that we used to spend on site, and just being on site in itself, being the only woman in a site of 300 to 500 men, this was different. At least now I get to wear heels to work. I get to do makeup. It was so wholesome. I started feeling like a woman again.
Brother.
So it was really nice. It was like finding myself again as a woman as well.
But, you know, also in interior, but you don't practice that side of interior design. Like we mentioned before, interior design is so huge and you can always fall into furniture, you can fall into decor, you can fall into doing the fit out, you can do consulting like I do. For example, you can also do mentorship like I do, But for her, she does renders. So I understand where you say that, because even for us, there are times where, you can sit on site like for like 5 hours. your feet are killing you and you're just like, wow, you can't even decide to leave because you're a group, yeah? So you usually do like a site walk around you, the interior designer, the architect, the engineers, and you're going like room by room. So if it's like a huge development, you can't decide like, me, I'm tired on second floor. You can't decide that. You have to do all.
But you see, interior designers, you come onto the site when the scaffolding has been removed. There aren't literally a lot of health hazards. Do you come in when the scaffolding is there?
It's still there. You see, because now let me give an example. So I typically do lots of developments rather than one individual house. Residential one house. So for developments, you see, you have like maybe, let's say 20 floors, right? And let me give a simple example. Maybe you're doing a show house on the 4th floor. So the rest of the building is still being constructed when you're doing the doing 3rd floor. So you're still there when maybe stones are falling, you know, so where accidents sometimes happen. Kanjo is following people. Like there's a lot. You have to go with a helmet. You have to go in with your boots. Like it's... now as you're doing your site walk around, sometimes you're doing you're doing site walk arounds up to 8th floor. And then the others are still being constructed. And you're tired. You're walking in rubbles. You're bending like this to like pitia to things. Hey,
I totally get it.
Yeah. But what I would say is, yes, interior designers come a bit later, at least when the structure is a bit up, where you can walk. But the structural engineer, even as you're doing your, you know,
from the foundation,
you're just there. You're balancing there all through. Yeah. Exactly. So I hear what you say, but also don't get it wrong. Interior designers, depending on the field that you choose,
for sure,
you may find yourself getting into site when it's still
under construction.
Very
fresh under construction.
Okay. So now you decide, now you found like yourself again.
Yes.
Before we even go too far, at this point now, it's been 3 years out doing interior design. Would you consider fully moving into engineering?
No.
You would not.
God forbid.
God forbid.
Structural engineering is very hard. It's actually very hard. I don't have any other word for it, but going back to structural engineering, I would not want to do it. I would rather train others to do it for me or work with other people in that field. I remember us even spending 72 hours in the office. Yes, I was working on mega projects. The last project that I did was Kibera social housing, and we had like such tight deadlines. And we weren't like working on one project, hadi tumalize. It was like having 6 projects on the table. Each of them needs your attention. So you can even do calculations for 72 hours on the same desk. And Mbele kwa kanjo comes back with revisions. You have to do it again and again, and you're in the office with like 10 men, you're the only lady there. So I'm not saying with interior design it's much easier because there is still a lot of time involved, but at least, I don't know, this one just makes me happier. There's no other way of putting it.
Okay. So now you're doing rendering, a bit of rendering. You mentioned you're doing a lot of traveling with regards to interior design.
Yes.
Is that still on rendering, or are you sourcing for clients? Are you sourcing like materials for clients?
Yes, I source for the materials for clients as well as a finishing contractor. In the long run, I've been able to have a team for my fundis who we do the finishes with, from the tiles, joinery works, wall ceilings finishes, all that. But for residential clients only, I have not moved to commercial spaces. Yeah.
So still on that, what do you think your design style is as Karara and your firm? If someone walks into this particular space, how would they know, this is Karara?
I think the interior design style that resonates with me the most will be contemporary interior design. Yes, but for my clients, I work with them. I've learned to listen more to what they want. In the beginning, I used to like emphasize, this is good for you, but I realized this is not my house.
Exactly.
This is not my dream house. It's theirs. So I've learned to listen more to what they want, and I work with them through the entire journey and deliver whatever interior design style that they want.
So have you come across a client who's asked you, show me your certificates? You're an interior designer. Show me your certificates or show me,
No, I haven't. Not yet.
You
I think my renders just sell for themselves. And most of my jobs I've gotten from referrals from people who I've done renders for. Yes.
Also now they referred you for renders, but now you're getting additional scopes.
Yes.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
nice, yeah. Because what guys need to know or learn is interior design right now in the industry is picking up, but we're not yet there.
Yes.
We are not yet there, yeah. And then also, it's more of your skill rather than the papers that you have for most clients. However, there are some big projects where they ask for your certificates. Either if you're doing a bid meaning there's a project and they want me, Karara, someone else, like 5 other designers to compete for it. They may ask for your documentation to show your certification, to show
Your
they'll ask for your
qualifications,
CV, they ask for your credentials and things like that. So that's something you need to note. Yeah. So if you want to go into that direction of bidding and all those things, ensure you have certification. But all the others really, really rely on, does this person know what they're doing? Can their work speak for themselves? Is their portfolio speaking to me? Is their style aligning to what I'm looking for? Yeah.
Yes,
Because it's
very
very easy for a client to quickly browse through your portfolio and be like, this is not for me. Or quickly be like, she gets me, or she would get me, or he would get me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So let me ask, tell me the challenges that you faced in this transition from engineering to interior design.
There were so many challenges. First, interior design is a very different career. So I had to learn a lot. I had to be ready to learn. I don't know. I came in very green. I had no idea what I was doing. I had limited amount of time to learn it, but in the long run, I was able to pick what I could. My biggest challenge, what was it? I'm trying to think. I think communication with the clients, because before we really didn't need to communicate. You've brought in your drawing, and as a structural engineer, it's the architect who brings in the project. And once he does, it's for you to draw, make sure the structure is safe and done. You really don't need to interact much with the clients. But with interior, you really have to listen to the client's needs. You really have to listen to your fundi. You really have to have a lot of teamwork and integrity as well to get a project even off the ground, even just to design the house. Ndo tufike mali client amesema, okay, this is what I want, let's start building. Before you get there, I had to really improve on my communication and timelines. Yes.
Because now, before that, timelines were, how are they? Or what was the expectation?
They were still tight, but you can't rush a structure.
Yeah.
And if it's a house, we can give you here's the foundation, start. We know you have a week to complete the foundation. So within that time, I can be doing the beams or the columns, and then we'll give you the beams. As we continue, I'll give you the slab or whatever. But with interior, the client has to see this is the house, this is what my house is going to look like before even proceeding. Like you said, do we have the same style? Do we have the same vision? Are you going to get me? You have to show them I understand your needs, I understand where you're coming from, what you want, the importance of this house to you and all that before he actually gives you the job. Yeah.
And how did you find, so you were struggling with communicating with the clients. So how did you learn, or what did you learn about managing client feedback and collaboration?
Rephrase the question, please.
How would you, what do you think your biggest takeaway was on client management or client feedback? So I'm your client. I'm giving you feedback. You've not been dealing with clients before. You're in the back end. Now you're dealing with clients. What was your biggest takeaway that an aspiring interior designer now can take away from you?
My biggest takeaway from clients was just always listen to them. This is their house. This is their dream. This is going to be their home. Just listen to them. Always take the feedback positively. It doesn't matter how they say it, as professional as you may want it to be. remember that the project is only going to be there for like a couple of months. You're going to interact with some very rude clients, some very needy clients, some very harsh clients. So always take the feedback positively. The criticism is there to build you, and yeah, projects come and they go, and you want by the time you're handing over the project, you want them to be happy because it's going to give you your next job. Yeah.
So I would want to throw you in a box a little.
Okay.
Or a spanner in the works, yeah? Give me an example of a scenario you got feedback from a client that was a bit challenging or rude or overwhelming, and how you handled that.
I have plenty of those scenarios.
Where to start?
Yeah, I have plenty of those. But my most challenging one was working for a contractor who was building.
Actually, by the way, let me stop you there. You don't need to name specifics, just for your safety. Yeah. So you can, the way you said a contractor, it's good. Yeah.
I wouldn't put them on the spot.
Yeah.
I was working for a big contractor who was building his farmhouse. He has an idea of how construction works, and what he didn't know was like interior design comes with so many styles. So being a farmhouse, I suggested rustic interiors, all that. We did the renders. I shared the renders. I want to believe he didn't have time to go through them because he was short on time. We started the work, paid the deposit, and he used to travel a lot. Comes back, he likes nothing about that interior style.
So at that point, how far have you gone?
40% of the work has been done.
Are you on site?
Yes, we are on site. All my fundies are... We have a 2 months deadline to complete that work. He wants to move in for the holidays.
So you've purchased materials?
Everything is on site. All my fundies...
So he wasn't checking whatever you're purchasing? Or how was it going?
No, I shared the renders. I don't know whether he looked at them or not. His family, whoever was supposed to give an approval, but the fact that they sent the deposit, this is our go-ahead to start the work. So 2 weeks in site, we have 2 months to complete that job. This is a 3-bedroom farmhouse. My fundies are on site. Work is ongoing. We are working day and night because if there's something I've learned is timelines. I do not want to be behind timelines. He doesn't like any of that. We have to go back to the drawing board. We have to demolish some of the work. We have to redo it. And in this case, it's on my cost.
Why is it on your cost? Did you have a contract or an agreement?
Now that's the mistake that I made. We hadn't signed a contract. Yes. So my biggest takeaway from that was always sign your contracts. Always have follow-up meetings with your clients after you've shared your renders or whatever way you engage with your clients. Make sure that you're on the same page before you proceed to the next step.
Yeah, wow, because getting on site, there's a lot. Like for me, how I do my design process, I think by that time we would have done 3 or 4 approvals before we get to site, because for me every step before even I start sourcing the items, like the concept, you have to approve it, the drawings, you approve them, the elevations, you approve them, and then I'm buying the items. This is what I've got and this is how it's looking against what we got.
You have to approve
you
them
approve
again.
it, and then now we come to site. Now if you tell me you don't like it, it's now on you. You know.
Now these are the things that I've learned along the way. Yes.
Wow. So now you're taking up that cost.
Yes.
Tell me how you navigated that.
Now I have to replace the materials. I have to still pay my fundies for the work done and still pay them for the new work. This is the work that I say, unakubali tu. This, you win some, you lose some.
You lose some.
Yes.
I agree. You win some, you lose some, and you take your lessons and you move on.
Yes.
You don't
Now I know
cry.
better. Now I know better. I will never do that again for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the lesson came with a huge pinch in the pocket?
Yes. A very huge pinch in the pocket. And yeah, you live, you learn.
Wow. Okay. Then, from what I've learned from the places that you've worked as an interior designer, there seemed not to be hierarchies.
Yes.
So you never had to navigate like, oh, this is the organizational hierarchy, these are the different rules.
Yes.
Oh.
So those are things that I've come to learn much later, not when I was employed by that particular interior designer. So the way she was winging it is how I started doing it, and it's really bit me in the ass. And now I'm learning about hierarchy, how to interact with clients, the contracts you're supposed to sign, the materials you're supposed to take on site even before work starts, all that. I've come to learn them much later.
That's a lot. So how was it for you to adjust to real projects as an interior designer? How was the adjustment for you? Was it difficult? Was it hard? Leave alone the design work in the office. Now, site kwa mjengo.
Site, before, since even in structural engineering, I was always on site. So being on site wasn't really hard. It was just managing the fundis, checking quality workmanship. The site part wasn't really hard.
Also, because now as an engineer, you're not really dealing with the fundis at that point. No. So now you're dealing with fundis. And you're saying now you're dealing with different personalities and things like that.
Yes, I'm doing different personalities. And I was still checking quality workmanship back then. But now this one was... every eye could see it. The previous one, it was only me and the professionals who could note if we've made a mistake. But this one, everyone could tell if we've made a mistake. So it was really learning how to work with fundis, being patient with them. Fundis can really test your patience and your sanity and so much more. It was just learning how to talk to them, how to be patient, how to manage time. But it wasn't so hard.
It wasn't so difficult.
Yes.
And so now for you, you're only so have you ever gone to an internship? Leave alone interior design, like ever?
Yes, I have been to each year of school. We were required to go to internship on site or in an office. So yes, I have been to several.
So since you've not had one in interior design, let me ask what lessons you learned from internship in particular. Now that one you aren't really managing resources, right? Let me ask, what was different from what you learned in school versus now you're on the ground during internship phase, leave alone these later experiences?
Vitu kwa ground ni different. You can't even compare it with school. As much as actually a lot of the things that you're going to be doing in real life, you're going to learn them in internship, not in school. So when you're an intern, be ready to learn, be ready to be taught. It doesn't matter if it's coming from the fundi, mtu wa mkono, they're the ones who are going to teach you a
Actually,
lot.
you can always pick something here and there, of course with discernment, but you can always learn, hey, okay, now I've learned something new here, I've picked something here. Oh, maybe I usually do my detailing like this, but on side they tell you, ukifanya hivi, haitashika, haitakaa, haima itaanguka kesho. You know, then you come to learn like, okay, you know, some are a bit rigid. They'll tell you, hapana, hivi ndo watu tunafanyanga. Like all our years, this is how you do it. So at that point now, you'll have a collaborative discussion and then you'll be like, hey, no, now I actually wanted this because of ABCD. It inaweza work. And they can tell you, actually, it inaweza make sense, sawa. You know, because you can meet the ones who are a bit rigid and like, what are you telling us? We've been in the industry for 40 years.
I have met them who have been called an amateur before. All that. So I'm not surprised. So in internship is where you're going to learn, let's say like 70% of the things that you're going to be using on your day-to-day. And the biggest takeaway from my internship was just be ready to learn. You're forever a student. It doesn't matter how many years in the industry you have practiced. Even as of now, as much as I've been in the industry for 8 years, if I go to site and the fundi tells me this will be much better and we reason it out and I see it makes sense, that's what we're going to be doing.
Exactly. You reason it out, see that it makes sense. You don't also just allow yourself to be, you're just swaying because people are telling you this. You're like, okay, Abigail, but this white that you've put here doesn't look like it's going to be nice.
Yes,
okay,
do your research. Do your research as well.
You can take it to the pinch of salt. Ask them, okay, this is what you think. I'll get back to you. You also can think about it, you know, but also it needs you to have planned your work very well so that you have pockets or windows where you can think about things, you can sleep over things. Because if you're in a rush, you're on site and everyone is looking at you like, hey, tell us now. Tell us now what we are supposed to do, and then you don't know what to do.
Yes, you also need to be very confident when you're going to site. If you're easily swayed, watanza kukudharau. They won't be listening to what you're saying. And if you're too rigid, they'll let you make mistakes. They will watch you literally make mistakes. And then when it's too costly, that's when they'll tell you like, but si tulikuambia. Ama tulijua tu utasikia vitu kaa hizo.
Exactly. So it's such a huge balance.
Yeah, you just
it really
have to
humbles
read
you.
The same way you need to read a room.
Yeah.
The same case applies to site.
Yeah, it humbles you because sometimes you can go into a space and feel like mi ndio kusema.
Yes.
Then you really have to collaborate. You also need discernment. You need to be, you need to have a level head over your shoulder, to be able to tell, here I need to put my foot down, or here I need to negotiate. Here I need to take, no, this is how we are doing,
Yes.
It's such a balance. What?
For sure.
So let me ask, what's the biggest surprise that you encountered? Now, as an interior designer. Now, it doesn't have to be in your early experiences as an intern. It doesn't have to be at your first job, like all through your 3 years as an interior designer, because you've done engineering and then you switched to interior design. Biggest surprise that you're like, what?
I can't think of anything off the bat.
So there's nothing that has really shocked you to like, oof, okay. No. In a good or in a bad way?
I can't think of anything off the bat.
Okay. Tell me, what hidden talent you have discovered through this journey of being an interior designer?
My hidden talents.
I'll give you an example. Like for me, I came to realize that I'm quite organized. And I realized also if you're not organized, you'll really struggle. You know why? Because there's a lot going on. One, you have to keep track of so many things, leave alone payments. Yeah, because there's payments for maybe the office, then there's payments of all the things you're buying for the client, and then there's maybe payments for to subcontractors, and then there's the designs, keeping track. Okay, we changed from white to gray. Which code of gray was it? It's Pantone Q6 for X. Then we changed it to Pantone 6 to for 3. Okay, then remembering, okay, we're ordering the tables, but the legs need to be gold, not black. And then the frames of the mirrors need to be gold also. If you bring for me black, it's going to be a problem. We picked a light, but I can't. It's nice all in all, but it has a strip of brown, so I can't take that. You have to really remember a lot of information, have like different pockets of databases, and know how to plan. Okay, this needs to come after this. Okay, for this particular task, how do you break it down in ways that you can execute it? So for me, I found organization as a hidden talent that I didn't know about.
Okay, I think I'd say I discovered mine way before I even started interior design.
Which talent is this now?
This is space planning.
Okay.
Back when this was my first job I was a site engineer for a Chinese contractor. And you see how the architect, when they're designing, during construction, there's some changes that need to be made. So during construction, I could see like, if we put this door here, it's going to affect this, which is going to affect this, which is going to affect this, which later on when we try and plan the furniture, it's not going to work. So yes, so that has really helped me in the long run. Even when I go to my clients' houses nowadays and I see like when we're working with the architect, I'm able to tell him, when we do this, it's going to lead to this, which is going to lead to this. And then it's going to affect us in the long run when we're trying to now do the finishes in the long run.
Also, let me ask then on that, as an engineer, do you learn space planning?
No.
Okay, so this is something that you just picked up on and then you came to discover in interior design, this space planning.
This has actually helped me out a lot. Now in interior, in engineering, it really doesn't matter. In engineering, it's inyumba isimame. Whatever has to be done in nyumba isimame. But now this is the case where you find you have a column in the middle of the room because that building needed to be safe. You find you have squeezed washrooms because we needed to expand the size of the beam or the column. So in engineering, the space doesn't really matter as long as the structure is safe.
And we fight a lot with engineers.
Now you see, now
because I'm like, no, you don't put this column. No, but Abigail, you need to. I'm like, figure it out. Can you put it on this other end? Because it's affecting my space now.
Yeah. Now I was able to see, like, if we do this here, it's going to affect the space. It's going to affect the layout of other things. It's really come to help me in the long run as an interior designer now. Yeah.
And what about soft skills? Yeah. What do you think? Which soft skill do you think is the most important as an interior designer for you? Or what has helped you, or what is helping you as an interior designer? Soft skills, not technical.
Let me think about that. I'd say, would empathy be one of them? Being empathetic with the client. Yes, you just have to be... Now the client has to be your friend. You just don't treat them like...
piece of paper. They're like transactional.
You're no longer like bringing in money to my company. Now you're my friend. I want to understand your values. I want to understand your priorities, your family, how you live, why you decided to build here, why you decided you want this particular design for me to be able to do my work. I have to be very empathetic and patient with my clients because they come with, some of them don't know what they want at the beginning. They come with a lot of Pinterest inspos, and we have to go through them until I'm able to understand this is actually what would work for this family. This will not work for them, but will work for another family. So I'd say empathy for me.
And to what extent then would you say that being your client's friend, to what would that mean to viewers?
What would that mean to viewers?
Because some others would take that statement as literal as it sounds, like, oh, okay, maybe after this shoot we go for drinks.
No,
we are friends.
No.
Or, oh, this you come for a sleepover.
No, that never ends well. Trust me, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like the friendship limited to coffee or lunch after you've handed over, like thank you for work, all this. But
no, I just had to put a disclaimer so that people don't start feeling like, hey, this is the way people are supposed to.
Don't cross those lines. Trust me, it never ends well.
Yeah.
So by being friendly, it means I take my time to get to understand them before starting the project. I just don't jump onto the project because I want to make money, because I want to say that I'm working. I take my time to get to know them, and in between they feel free to communicate. We love this, we'd like to change this. I don't want them to also feel restrained since this is their home and they're spending a lot of money on it. So the friendship is to just make both of us comfortable enough to communicate our needs for this project to actually be a win-win for both of us.
So let's say I'm your client and I'm standoffish, like, what are you, I'm just standoffish. How do you handle that? Because, there are those who are like, Abigail, just, don't call me, or maybe just send me an email, or I'm busy, I've traveled. There are those ones who are always traveling, they're always, how do you handle that?
For the ones who I've met who are always busy and don't have time for you, it never ends well. This is the point where I say clients don't just choose us, we choose them, because at the end of the day we need to work together. For a successful project, everyone has to be on board. An interior designer can't bring your vision into life if you're not even willing to share that vision in the first place.
Say it again for the ones at the back. Say it again for the ones at the back. Clients don't They don't choose you. You get to...
Yes,
you
clients
also get
don't
to...
just choose us. We choose them as well. You need to know if you're the right fit for the particular client, which happens during the first site visit. You need to know if you're able to deliver such a project. And if you're not able to, kindly refer them to someone who's able to. With the timelines, with the vision, with the budget. You're not always going to be the right fit for everyone.
Yeah.
And not all clients are going to be the right fit for you as well. Some of them are going to be way out of your scope, and that's okay. So yeah, for the ones who I've met and they don't have the time, and if they really don't have the time, then for me it's not going to work.
And I agree with you, because also for me, I usually tell my clients, like, this is a collaborative process. You know, there's some who, I remember there's one who told me, but you're the professional, why are you asking me? And I'm like,
it's your home.
It's your home. My preference, like, for me,
I'm designing like what I want, and then you won't like it.
You won't like it. Like, for me, my home is white, you know. So you'd be like, hey, Abigail, yours is boring. And, you know, like, mine is clean lines, it's white, like, you know, like very clean, minimalistic, you know, kind of things with some tones of black, some tones of grays. Like, and you'd be there like, okay, now, what is she? I could have done this myself, maybe, you know, kind of. And me, I'm so happy in my space, you know, and it looks very different also for other people. And I usually tell them, no, I need to understand what you want, what your preferences are, how you like. Sometimes I need to bounce off ideas. There's one, like, I think this is my favorite client of all time, and I'm about to hand off, and I feel so bad. I wish he could just extend something for us to just build for fun. So fantastic. Like, he's always available, and even if he's not available, imagine he gives me, not all clients are like this. He'd give a heads up and say, oh, by the way, Abigail, next week from Monday to Friday, I'll be away on conference. You won't be able to reach me on phone. But in the evenings, you can just drop me something. If you need anything, just let me know. As in, I don't need him. But he's just, if anything, you can reach me. I'll be there. You can reach me on whatever. And we usually brainstorm a lot of things. Like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. This is what we had proposed. But I'm thinking to change on this because of this. You, what do you think? And he tells me, actually, I like it. Or sometimes I'm like, this one, I'm not really visualizing it. Sometimes he just tells me that I'm not visualizing what you're saying. Like, I am not seeing the change, how it's going to look like, you know. But, you know, since we have that rapport, it's so easy to, like, you know, to try out. Because sometimes you can design a project maybe 3 months in advance, and then 3 months later there's something you feel like here I could have done
this could have been better, we made these changes.
So I'm not so rigid on the concept. I'd be like, okay, this is what I proposed for you, but this is what's in the market. I've tested this out on something else. We've just finished the install, and this is how it's looking like. Would you be open? It's still aligning with our general look and feel, but it's something different. Maybe it's going to cost you 20,000 bob more. Yani, fantastic client. And just the way you're saying, for me, all others also who were a bit difficult, they don't want to collaborate, they don't have time, it didn't end well.
Yeah, it never ends well.
It never ends well.
It's going to cost you time, resources, your sanity, mostly.
And then you're trying to read minds.
You're going to feel like a failure, and it's not even your fault.
Yeah. You're trying to read, hey, what would Karara want here? But I can't even ask her. No. My friend,
it's not worth the headache, to be honest.
And that's one tip. I think maybe if anything, just take that away. You know, whether it's a client or it's a job, when you're going to interview, they're not only interviewing you. You're also interviewing them. You need to see if it's a cultural fit, if it makes sense for your lifestyle, if it, you know, if it makes sense for what you're trying to achieve. Because sometimes you go into, let's say, the ones who are looking for employment or internships, are going into a space thinking these guys are really doing me a favor. You know, like, wow, pick me.
No,
and then maybe
you're going to add value in the long run.
Yeah. And then maybe, for example, Karara's farm, let's say, does renders. And let's say Abigail's farm does construction fit outs. And then you're just happy that Karara called you for an interview. You don't care whether renders is the direction you want to go in life. You know, maybe you already tested renders and you don't like it, but you're just like, you know what? Karara picked me. I know.
In the long run, it's going to be exhausting, and you're just going to start being unhappy, and then you're going to say that my workplace is very toxic, and that it was never aligned with you in the first place.
Exactly, because also there are workplaces that are for work-life balance, and those ones are like, what is work-life balance, my friend? What are we balancing here? You know,
we're here to make profits.
We're here to make
more
profits. So if you're leaving at 12 midnight, it's your problem, you know. And then you chose that place, you know, you chose it. You get, and there are others who are like, no. You guys need to be relaxing and chilling in the evenings. Let's go for drinks. You get, so it's a two-way kind of streak. Yeah,
for sure.
So just to close off our video, I'd like to ask, what would be your tip for making the most out of internships or first employment?
My tip for making the most out of internships: be ready to learn. Don't wait to be told what to do. I've seen a lot of interns, when they come to site or in the office, if you've not been assigned something, you just sit there, you're on your phone, you ask questions, ask as much as you want. If you want to stay ahead of your peers, if you want to be ahead of the game, always be curious. Do your own research. Don't just wait to be given a particular task. If you've been assigned a particular task and you get stuck somewhere, do your own research. You'll learn way more than someone who's just waiting to be assigned the next task. And the next.
And maybe for me to add on to that, learn also to take up space. Maybe this is this corner that they've told you're just going to do this. Tell them, and I saw you guys doing A, B, C, D. Can I tag along? Even if just being given that task is a lot, can I tag along? Slowly you tag along first, and then you're like, okay, I saw them presenting. Can I do the presentation? I can present to you first in the office, and then if you're confident, I can present later. You know, but not you just there sitting and be like, oh, but interns usually are given this. Like
actually, that I forgot to say, that is what has helped me really grow. Wanting, like, kukwatuna kierere, you want to learn this, you want to learn this, you want to be there. I always ask the engineers, can I follow you to site? Can I follow you here? Can I go here? And actually, that's how I was able in the long run to be given some of the biggest projects in the office. Not because I was better than the rest.
You're not even the most competent.
I was never the most competent in the office. Never. There were people who had way more years of experience in design, in construction, in site supervision, but I always took that risk. Can I follow you here? I heard you talking about this. What did you mean? I heard the client asked you about something and this is how you replied. Why did you, like, what were you thinking? That's how I learned PR. That's how I learned even how to do architectural drawings. Interest, taking up space, being curious all the time.
And I like that, because you're not only learning about interior design or the work itself, the technical part, you're also learning how they're responding to clients, how they're dealing with problems, how they're navigating challenges. Oh, the ceiling fell off on site. What did they say to save themselves, to buy more time? Know.
There is so much to learn in every field out here. You just have to be curious, and you have to want it. How bad do you want it for yourself?
Cool. So last and not least, what helps you stay resilient? First of all, do you think you're resilient? Let's start there.
Yes, I think 3 years self-employment, having my own team at this point, I think I'm pretty resilient. What was the other question?
What helps you maintain resilience?
The lifestyle that I want for myself, the type of houses that I want to secure. I have done so many residentials home within a certain budget. And now I want to level up and start doing bigger projects, still on residential houses. And some of the interior designers that I follow and I've seen the type of work that they do, I want to be their competitor in the next few years. So that keeps me up at night. What can I do to be better? What can I do to secure bigger projects? What can I do to build trust with my clients so that I'm able to move to the next level? Yeah.
Cool. So I'd really love to thank you for joining our podcast, for guesting on this episode. And most importantly, I really want this to be an inspiring episode to show that you can transition from whatever career you want
Yes, you can.
into interior design or into anything else that you want. Look at Karara. She not only has transitioned from engineering to interior design, but also has taken up the time to and the interest to do personal research, to learn from others. You know, you don't have to look for something very expensive or time consuming or an extra degree, you know, but look, she's practicing, she's learning, she's continuously learning, she's also sharing with others, you know. So I think maybe our takeaway from this episode is continue learning, take up space, find out what more you need to learn, you know. The resources are there. Endless.
There's so many resources, and now that we have ChatGPT, like use it to your maximum advantage.
Yeah.
Cool.
So thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this episode. Just to give you a quick recap on our mentorship program, we recently rolled out 3 semi-programs of our general mentorship programs: a one-on-one mentorship program, a 6 weeks program, and a 3-month program, where interior designers join us to learn from us, to walk with us on their journeys. And we've posted information on that on our Instagram pages. Check that out. Yeah. Last but not least, if you feel like this information was educational and you'd want to support other aspiring interior designers to hear this out, yeah, you can consider supporting us, and we'll share the links and the pay bill somewhere here. Yeah. So that we can be able to continue creating such content to reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much, Karara.
Thank you for having me. This was lovely.
It was so lovely. I appreciate it, and keep doing your good job on the socials. I see you. Yeah. Keep at it. And guys, you can follow Karara and you can follow Studio-littleBold. Over and out.